A2theKania is running wild! Welcome to the A2theK Wrestling Show. I am Carl, and joining me, as always, the other half of the Middle-Aged Outlaws, the one and only, it's Anthony. Anthony, tell the people what we've got in store this week.
Okay.
Do it.
Now, coming up this week, Carl, as always, we have the infamous This Week in Wrestling, which we're going to talk about the four big shows being Raw, NXT, AEW's Dynamite, and SmackDown. Additionally, we're also going to cover Revolution because we've yet to do that, and a lot happened. We are going to cover a lot. There were fireworks. It was great.
Sparkles.
We're also going to cover the Ringside Report, Carl, which we're going to talk about all the latest news and rumours coming up in the world of wrestling this week. Mm-hmm. And as we are now on the road to WrestleMania, or have been for the last week or so, I can't remember where the road started. Started at the Rumble.
Yeah,
we are going to be covering the 10 best WrestleMania moments.
Oh, yes, we are.
Oh, yes, we are. So, Carl.
Me.
Shall we kick off with the Ringside Report?
Let's do it. I mean, we do that every week, so why change things? If it ain't broke, it up now? Don't fix it. That's what I say.
It's the formula, and the formula works. So, coming up tonight in the Ringside Report, Andrade has requested his release from WWE. Dax Harwood is hinting at a SmackDown superstar leaving WWE soon. WWE Hall of Fame date has been announced along with its first class of 2021 inductee. We have even more WWE trademarks filed.
No.
We have Mickey James thinking there's an unfair double standard in wrestling. We have Miro and Kip Sabian reacting to comments from Jim Cornette. We have Jeff Hardy commenting on AEW. We have WWE signing 2 Australian independent wrestlers. We have AEW Revolution's big financial successes. We have the one and only Big Cass talking a possible WWE return. We have formerly The Big Show, the former WWE World Champion. Oh, sorry, apologies. He wants a former WWE World Champion to join AEW. He is also a former WWE World Champion, so that was kind of right. And lastly, we have breaking news, hot off the press, that sadly, it appears we may have another COVID-19 outbreak in NXT, and this may have changed some plans going forward. All that coming up right now.
So the first one to kick us off this week is our buddy Andrade. So since Zelina Vega was given her marching orders for having a Twitch and an OnlyFans and stuff.
Oh, right. It's a really savage reason. Oh, right.
Pretty much. We don't wish her the best in her future endeavours because we wanted to get a profit from that. But since Zelina Vega is no longer on our television screens, Andrade has not been either. And it's been reported this week that Andrade has actually requested his release from WWE at the most recent Raw tapings this past Monday. So at the time of this kind of coming out, there was a lot of kind of people trying to go back and forth to figure out, is he going to get that release? What's happening? I believe that has now been denied. So he's just going to be sat in catering.
Like, builds himself up. Like, right, what I'm going to do it best. And they're like, I want to quit. And they're like, no. End of conversation. Done.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much else he can do really. I know. Just goes back to catering.
I'm going back to catering.
But yeah, so he's obviously unhappy. He's if he's requesting his release, he's dropped all mention of WWE from his social profiles. And yeah, he's obviously not been used on any of the shows since Zelina was obviously.
I think the surprising element for me is that, and I know this isn't always an indicator of whether you should be in a company or not, but the fact that he's with Charlotte and she is like very much ingrained into WWE, I couldn't see her ever being anything other than WWE. And yeah, like I don't know. It doesn't necessarily have to be the case. I mean, obviously, we saw Jon Moxley in AEW for a long time with Renee still being on WWE, so it's not impossible. But I don't know, surprising to say the least. Do you think he'd go for like the easiest option? He's in the same company as his wife. missus, whatever you want to call it, girlfriend. What are they at the minute? Are they engaged?
I don't know. I think so, maybe, possibly. But yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because it seems like a lot of wreckage has been left in the path of Zelina Vega's exit. Because obviously we have not seen her real life husband, Alistair Black, since she left the company, and we haven't seen Andrade. And I believe both of these guys are very unhappy and want to be gone from the company, of which neither are being allowed to do so. So.
Rumors are they're going to try and start an OnlyFans and get the release that way.
I mean, yeah.
Right, so the next one's mine, Carl.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one Dax Harwood, who is, this is very much a hint, if I'm honest with you. But it goes, essentially, he's hinting towards possibly somebody leaving WWE, and he knows exactly what he's doing. But I question the validity behind it. So what's happened essentially is Chad Gable, Shorty G, whatever you want to know him as, has had a bit of playful banter between him and Otis, and he's called him his number one guy on Twitter, which sparked a response from Harwood, which he said, what's all this number one talk? I know you're not allowed to respond to me publicly for about 2 months, but come on, he's your number one. And it's that little bit that sparked the rumour mill, as it were. So they're not allowed to respond to me publicly for about 2 months. So is this a suggestion that Gable may be waiting out his contract? What do we think, Carl?
I mean, I don't think he should have re-signed the contract in the first place. If you remember, we reported on this. Was it last year? Has it been that long? Who even knows anymore?
Know. But do you know what? It made more sense for me if he re-signed now, because this is the best he's had in a while.
Well, exactly.
Like, why would you re-sign when you're Shorty G?
Exactly. It doesn't make any sense. But I don't know. It does baffle me for that exact reason, because he's finally getting a bit of traction. He's got a tag team with Otis. They are doing some stuff which is probably better for both of them than we've seen in quite a while. So yeah, surprising that if he isn't going to continue, and why they would be getting such a push if that is the case. So could be Dax just pissing about, or maybe Shorty G is no more.
Well, could just be Dax, like you say.
Could just
I'm
be
not
Dax.
down with the kids. I don't know what that means, but it could just be a load of Dax.
Just a load of Dax. So, Anthony, the next one to talk about is the illustrious Hall of Fame ceremony. Obviously, last year, unfortunately, it wasn't able to go ahead, obviously, with everything going on with COVID. When we spoke with Georgia Smith, obviously daughter of WWE legend and UK legend, the British Bulldog, she was obviously very disappointed that she wasn't able to induct her dad last year. But some good news is that the Hall of Fame has been announced for 2021, and it's going to be both classes of 2020 and 2021 getting inducted.
It's going to be a hell of a night.
Hell of a night. However, I think some more stuff's come out about it now, that it's not actually going to be an in-person event, I don't believe. So I think it's going to be taking place on the bump, similar to the Slammy Awards did. So kind of just people kind of...
That's a little bit of a shame, in all honesty.
Yeah, I mean...
I get why they're doing it, safety first and all that, but it's a little bit of a shame.
I get it, but at the same time, they're trying to get 45,000 people for each night of WrestleMania. So you would think they would allow some semblance of a live audience for the induction of some of these Hall of Fame legends. But yeah, so positive news is it is going to go ahead this year, and everyone who was going to be inducted last year should make their way in. But we've also had the first name revealed for the 2021 inductees, and very deserving, in my opinion. Absolute legend, absolute sweetheart, if you ask anybody in the business, is Nora Greenwood, or as we may know her, Mighty Molly, or Molly Holly. So
is she being inducted as Mighty Molly or Molly Holly?
That's an excellent point. I think just Molly Holly, to be fair. But she is... everyone who has got anything to say about her just thinks that she's an absolute saint. And, thinking back to, I can't even remember which WrestleMania it was, but to get the women's title on the card by volunteering to shave your hair just to make sure that women's title is on the line, fair play to her. So, absolute legend, one of the better workers in the women's division through the years. And yeah, all round a lovely person. So couldn't happen to a nicer lady. So congratulations to Molly, and made up for everyone from 2020 who will hopefully have their place rightfully in the Hall of Fame as part of this joint induction this year. So yeah, awesome.
Awesome indeed, Carl.
Mm.
Speaking of awesome, this one isn't. Nah, it's okay. This is a strange one actually, because I honestly can't. Let's have a talk about this, Carl. So, WWE have recently filed to trademark subculture, and they've stated it as a name for general pro wrestling use. What could that be used for?
I have no idea.
A really strange one. Are they going to have a pop at what culture?
Possibly. I was trying to think. I know when CM Punk made his little entrance onto that show that I never remember the name of on Fox.
Oh yeah, that
That
one
he's a guest on.
Definitely didn't die a death.
Yeah,
that one.
Well, he came on and he tried to do his little clever line, didn't he, on his debut? He was like, "Just when you think you have all the answers, I changed the culture," and I was like, "What? Doesn't make any fucking sense." But okay, just butchered a Roddy Piper line. It's cool. But so that's where my head went of like culture, subculture. But that's a fucking reach even for me. So
yeah, that's the thing. I honestly don't know what they could be doing with it, but
a new Retribution member.
Well, do you know what, right? They filed another 2 trademarks before this one, to be fair, but we haven't mentioned them before, so let's fucking mention them. They filed one for Symbiosis, which that could be definitely another Retribution member. And they filed Frankie Monet. Monet? I don't know. Sorry, just wanted to be scouse about it for a sec.
Symbiosis. That sounds like
yes.
fucking... are they going to have Venom? Are they doing something with Marvel? Who knows?
Or they're going to have... Psychosis come back and tag team with somebody, and it's going to be Symbiosis.
Oh,
but yeah, so we've got another 2 of those. But Symbiosis sounds like kind of Marvel-y, but it definitely is something that you could probably see rocking up in Retribution. The cheesy names they go for. So yeah, we've got three for one there, Carl. But honestly, all of them, I have no idea. Frankie Monet seems fairly obvious, doesn't it? It's going to have an NXT star.
Maybe.
And he's going to go by the name.
Maybe it's going to be a tag team of Symbiosis and Subculture, or whatever the fuck it's called, with their manager, fucking Frankie Monet.
That's
calling it.
You heard it here first, folks. New faction joining NXT.
It would be NXT as well. It's the most NXT sounding thing ever. That isn't it?
It's the most NXT. Yeah, definitely. So that's that one, Carl. More speculative than anything, but just kind of an odd trademark for me. I don't know what they're going to do with it.
Yeah, I can't really place it. That one, definitely.
It's going to be a new pay-per-view name, isn't it?
Oh fuck! Please don't give them ideas. And the next month's pay-per-view, Frankie Monet. Right. So the next one I've got for you is another interesting one. So Mickie James has responded to a tweet from Taya Valkyrie, who obviously is signed with WWE recently. Of basically, she put out a tweet that said, just all around age, basically, why do people talk about age like it's a negative thing? Just think, you woke up today, you are blessed to see another morning, and never forget that age brings wisdom, experience, confidence. It's a blessing. And Mickie James obviously responded to that tweet, and she said she agrees 100%, but in this industry, once you hit 35, it's perceived you should start wrapping it up and retire as a woman, even though you're just hitting your stride, whereas, at 40, retire already, even though the men are champs well into their 50s and are glorified for it.
Now, okay, right. I don't disagree with Mickie James. I try not to, because she's awesome, right? But it's only inside the fucking business that men are glorified for still being champs in the 50s. Pisses me the fuck off. This might just be a you and me thing, Carl, but have you ever seen an old guy come back and win the belt and been absolutely fucking thrilled about it? Thrilled about putting all the new talent down and taking the belt for himself? Don't be wrong. I love seeing The Undertaker, and The Undertaker always did it right for me. For the last, decade more, even, he didn't come back for the championship. He come back to make an appearance. Do you know what I mean? And I'm cool with that. I'm cool seeing the legends again, and I'd be cool with the same thing with the women. But and there probably is a double standard inside the business itself. But I don't know. For me, and I may be speaking way too generally, but as an audience, I don't think there is. I think we want them all to retire.
Hang it up, you has-beens.
No, there is a point in the business when you go, it gets riskier and, it gets a little bit more concerning, doesn't it? And there's a point when you go, okay, I like seeing you, but I don't want to see you take risks that are going to hurt you. So, yeah, I think there is a point with all, it's men and women for me. But I take the point that it's a double standard in that men are definitely offered more opportunity within WWE, certainly. Well, I say with WWE, certainly. AEW too, let's be honest. That they're definitely given a lot more opportunity to rock up and be on the main events and all this and glorified for still wrestling way into the 50s. Totally agree with that. But as an audience, I don't think that's true.
Yeah, she does make an excellent point, really, because thinking about her career as well, like when she had that most recent run in WWE, it was almost disrespectful, I thought, to what a fantastic, servant she's been for that company. I really wasn't thrilled.
Honestly, got to a point I thought they were working an angle with that. I thought there was going to be an angle with the fact that they just treated her with no respect, and now she's just classed as a legend and not on the card. And you're like, oh, okay, apparently they were just taking the fucking piss then.
Oh yeah, like even the way they did that, and she just rocked up on Legends Night. It was like, okay,
you're a legend now. Honestly, and there might have been other matches since, but the last thing I remember was that match where we couldn't concentrate on air, and was it Seth Rollins was just talking shit to the announce team, and that's all we concentrated on. We didn't even see a match. That was the last thing I remember it doing on the card.
Just ridiculous. Disrespect of the highest regard. But no, I think she has got a very valid point. I was trying to think back of anyone who potentially has broken the mold in that sense. I know Trish came back at SummerSlam a couple of years ago to have a final retirement match with Charlotte, but I don't know how old she was then. But obviously that was well received. I know I was made up to see that, and obviously we've had Lita and Trish at the Evolution pay-per-view, and we've seen a couple of appearances at the Rumble. But yeah, definitely no one from the women's division has had been able to come back and have like a run at the top.
Not one of them have pulled a Goldberg. And let's be honest, like at that level, I would say Trish could like justifiably equal standard in terms of women's division. Trish should be able to rock up and pull a Goldberg.
Nobody wants to pull a Goldberg.
No, but Goldberg does. But that's another story. But yeah, it's to me like I've always complained about the booking, so it's not something I want. But yeah, that is a double standard. Why hasn't Trish or somebody like that been able to rock up and go, "You're next," and take on probably Charlotte? I don't know.
And just headbutt a door. Why not? Why not?
Yeah, so that's what we want. Mickie James is going to come back and do her best Goldberg impression.
Yes, please. Sign me up. Sign me up.
But no, I do agree. I think there is definitely a double standard there, but I just think I don't know. I just want to make that point that I don't think it's within the fan base. I don't think we have that issue. I think it's the way that they choose to book women.
Yeah, I agree.
Call me wrong if you want. Oh, you agreed, sorry.
Yeah. I have no problem telling you you're wrong when you're wrong, but I agree in this case.
That is true. That is true. So, next one, Carl. The next one. Jim Cornette has been on his soapbox again. You wouldn't be surprised to hear. And he's come under fire from one Miro and Kip Sabian. Now, I'll paraphrase because there's quite a lot going on here, but essentially, he was given shit to all three of them really, but he was talking about Miro's booking since he went to AEW. Essentially, was his jumping off point, and that he seems content in the position he's in, which is ridiculous. And then he gave a little bit of shit to Kip Sabian, referring to him like middle school looking guy or whatever, and then referred to Penelope as his slutty girlfriend. Which not surprisingly, because that is not a nice thing to say, but surprisingly, that was the bit that Kip and Miro concentrated on. And he had some response from initially response from Miro, which read, "If you call Penelope a slut again, I'll come like God's wrath on you. You will understand." Well, yeah, you will understand. I'll personally drive to your basement. People like Jim Cornette bring not only pro wrestling down, but young women and men get abused, and the name called for 40 views on YouTube. Answer me, you Mark. Obviously, Jim hasn't answered him, but it's one of them where you go, well, okay, he's not bothered by the comments he's got. He's a big boy and all that, but he's trying to sort of look out for Penelope, who doesn't deserve that kind of comment. And to be fair, the comment was probably the harshest one. There was probably the one aimed at Penelope. In all fairness, and
Yeah.
again, I'll
This,
paraphrase because it's easier to paraphrase. But Kip, like, to be honest, went on a rant that, for me, I am speaking purely for me because some people might have totally agreed with it because Cornette can be a bit of a dick, but like he sort of during his rant sort of basically was like he'll celebrate when he's dead and all sorts, and I'm like, geez, that's like that's a bit too much, to be honest. Like, I don't want to wish people dead. Like, he's
yeah.
clearly an asshole, but damn. So Kip went a little bit further. So yeah, they don't like Jim. That's the overall
Yeah.
message here. They don't like Jim.
It's certainly picked up a lot of a lot of traction over the last few days. Now I'm a big Cornette fan. I think he is, he's done loads for the business. He knows the business. He knows wrestling. But at the same time, he is a dick, and I'm sure he's happy and appreciates the fact he's a dick, and he hates AEW. He hates a lot of stuff. He hates everything, really.
Yeah,
But
he knows what he's doing. He's controversial for the sake of it sometimes because he is
yeah.
trying to get views and such for his show.
Oh,
Quite clearly.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. And you've got these people who absolutely fucking love it and hang off his every word, and you've got people who just respect him. Like similar to me, like I respect the hell out of him, but you're just like fucking hell, corny. Like you need to just wind wind it in a little bit. But
Just a little bit.
yeah, I mean, I think he did kind of go back to Miro a little bit. I think in a couple of tweets,
Oh,
he basically,
apologies.
I think a couple of people was like defending him, saying he never called her a slut, blah blah blah, and then Cornette came back saying, I never said this. I may have insinuated that if she had as many dicks on the outside of her as she had on the inside of her, she'd look like a porcupine. I think was his quote, which is fucking which is pretty outrageous, to be fair. So there was that, and then he said something to Miro or something like, I'll give you the fucking directions off off the interstate to my basement. You'll still do fucking nothing, or something like that. So yeah, I
Okay.
don't know. He's Cornette's basically just, and he also took the piss out of saying, well, 40 views on YouTube or something. Miro gets like 40 a day on Twitch or something, and he gets hundreds of that. So yeah, it all turned a bit ugly. I know Penelope responded to him as
I
well.
can't believe we're at a day and age where they're having a pissing contest over internet views. It's ridiculous.
I know. I know Penelope responded as well, saying something like he has to take Viagra to get it hard or something. And even then,
Penelope went after his missus. Well, not after his missus, but referenced his
well,
missus and
yeah. Well,
apparently this cook element that he seems to enjoy.
yeah. So there was a lot of stuff that got all mentioned in that, but yeah, I don't know. To be fair, like I honestly don't think Corny should be going around, slut shaming anybody or whatever. And he's hanging on the fact that she went out with Joey Janela,
Yeah, it's
for a
like almost.
while.
Yeah, I know she did go out with both, but like they sort of made it a story thing anyway, didn't he? In a lot of senses in AEW. So, like he's sort of playing into that whole element, isn't he? Like I don't know. A lot of that was character work too.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, hopefully it's, I don't want to see anything more come of this. Effectively, I'd like to think we just leave it behind
Oh,
now,
have a
and
good bitch and let it go now.
we've all had a good bitch. But yeah, I just fucking hell, Cornette, man. He just got no filter. That guy. He just doesn't give a fuck, does he? But yeah, I'm a huge fan of Penelope. I think we both are on the show. We've mentioned a few times of
Oh
how
yeah,
impressed we've
definitely.
been.
She's very underutilized in the women's division, and she could be fantastic for AEW's women's division. Like the fact that, like that's the stuff I'd moan about. The fact that she's sort of kept in this angle and storyline with Miro and Kip. That's what's sort of hampering it because, like, really, she should be in the mix with all the others.
I'm
Like she's
honestly
got the
baffled
strongest we've seen her.
that she hasn't been. To be fair, like I haven't seen her wrestle in fucking ages. To be fair, and as far as I know,
She
she's not
seems to have
injured.
gone like
So
properly back to this sort of valet thing, really, hasn't she? Of Kip's, like,
mm,
but when we've got to see her wrestle the few times we have on AEW, she's been fantastic.
yeah, so I'm really shocked about it. To be fair, but yeah, pretty ugly one for us to talk about. But yeah, hopefully
You
it
might say
just
it was super bad.
Ah.
I'm here all week.
You're the best, man. You're the best, man.
Love
That
it.
wasn't as funny, but I had to try.
It was more nuanced, I think.
Yeah, it was on a slightly different level. So the next one, talking about one of your favourites, Anthony, Jeff Hardy. He has been talking about AEW, and he's been quoted as saying that AEW is more open-minded than WWE, with WWE being a little bit more set in their ways. He said it's really cool the fact that Matt's in AEW and stuff like that, and when he went there before the whole pandemic and stuff hit, that the crowds are on fire, and he just said he remembers watching it and just thinking it's so exciting.
I mean, to be fair, like in WWE, the wrestlers were on fire, so
burn. But yeah, so he basically, it's a strange thing to say, really, to kind of come after the WWE fans. You're not gonna.
This was a deliberate jab. He said open-minded because Matt opened his skull on the pay-per-view, and I think that was just a horrible little jab to make. And
well, not to be outdone, he tried to do the same thing to his fucking self on some steel steps, didn't he? Not too long after that.
I forgot about that.
So Hardy's crazy.
It's interesting that Jeff sees that, and that Jeff would make that comment when currently working for WWE. Not that he has to give a fuck, because he definitely have a home in many other promotions, in all fairness. But yeah, interesting that he make that comment while currently working for them.
Yeah, definitely.
Although we've seen him in a couple of
months. I think he was last having a feud with Elias again or something, probably.
Oh, hang on. This just maybe. Jeff Hardy's requested his release. Oh, no.
Nope,
he's
denied. Cool. Funny visuals. But something else, Anthony, which Jeff Hardy has said, which it's kind of struck a chord with me, really, because it's made me think about your dislike for another certain AEW star, because he's being compared quite a bit to Darby Allin. And basically,
because he's skinny and likes to jump off things.
Pretty much, and he wears face paint. All the connections are there. But he's commented on that.
Literally half-assing his Jeff impression and only did half of his fucking face, but whatever.
But he's commented on that to say, he's honoured that people compare him to the likes of Darby Allin. He said he's never met him, but whenever he's seen him in AEW, he just thinks, wow, he really is like me, and he's actually like a real-life stuntman. I've always said jokingly, I don't even think I know how to wrestle. I think I'm just a stuntman when it comes to this stuff. So I know you've said a couple of things like this about Jeff in the past, and also you're not that big on Darby, where I'm not massive.
I think you've manufactured most of this Darby hate.
What? Right. Anybody who listens to this show, you need to back me up to the tilt here, because you were fuming, and I know you've said a couple of times it's more the way Cody, handed him the belt, but every time I brought him up since, you're like, fucking Darby. So if all of your hatred is literally resting on the fact of Cody handing the belt that way,
I don't hate Darby. I've never once said I hate Darby.
You fucking.
This isn't a cornet thing. I've not said anything.
All I'm saying is, I'm not going to go. I was going to try and make another kind of porcupine joke then. I was like, I can't really do anything about that, to be fair.
Don't get me wrong. They both seem like unbearable people to be around, because I feel like it'd be like constantly like you go out for a drink with them, like, should I jump off that? And you're like, no, can you just come back and finish your pint, for fuck's sake? But other than that, fine. They're talented guys. What I mean, not to nitpick, but like real life stuntmen. No, stuntmen are real life stuntmen. That is a real life thing, Jeff, and you're not one. But he does jump off high things, so
Yeah.
So the issue I always had with Jeff, and I'm not going to be bitchy about it, was just that like that was the sum of his talent, and it is a talent. I wouldn't do it, but Matt has always been the more creative, and I think he got like underappreciated because Jeff was willing to jump off high things. And it served Shane McMahon well, so maybe jumping off high things is just how you get on in this business. I don't know.
I mean, you're not wrong, to be fair. Anyone who jumps off high things.
To see what happens to Kevin Owens' career after WrestleMania.
I fucking hope he jumps off that pirate ship. Please,
He's gonna
please
jump
make
off
it
the
happen.
pirate ship.
Please
It's
make
like
it happen.
it's like an itch now. You know what I mean? He's got to scratch that itch. He's gonna have to jump off that pirate ship. He's definitely gonna make that happen.
We're assuming he's going to get booked on the fucking card because let's face it, we don't even know what the card is. Like how many days out?
Know what
So
the card is? The same card it's been for the last
we
fucking
don't even
year. He's
know.
gonna have
We don't
a
even
match
know what the
with
fucking.
Jey Uso. What are the Usos?
We don't even know what the fucking Fastlane card is. Anthony, it's like a week away, less than a week away. We don't even know what's happening.
Well,
Madness.
we'll talk about SmackDown because I think we've got a rough idea what's happening.
Fucking rough, I'll tell you. But yeah, so
Fast lane,
basically,
it's a bumpy fucking road.
the summation of this news story is Jeff thinks the WWE fans suck. He prefers AEW fans, and Anthony hates Darby Allin, and that's all you need to know from this news story.
So yeah, I mean Jeff has been quoted as saying that they're all a bunch of basement dwelling marks in WWE, which is a bit harsh, but you take
But
that up
true.
with Jeff. I'm just a messenger, Anyway, sorry for legal purposes, Jeff did not say that. The next one, Carl. WWE have signed 2 Australian independent stars. Now, sadly, I don't watch independent wrestling in Australia, which may be a shock to some. But what's my phone doing? Apologies, guys. My notes have gone all over the place. But it may be of note because I know we've got fans in Australia, Carl. I know this, right?
We do.
So the 2 they've signed are Matty Wahlberg, no relation to Mark or his brother. What's his brother's name again?
Donnie Wahlberg? He's Donnie, right?
Yeah. He's not part of the franchise Wahlburgers, but he is a wrestler. And the other one is a Steph DeLander. So they've both been signed to WWE, I believe on the NXT brand. And it may interest you to know that Matty Wahlberg actually previously had tried out for NXT UK. So, and I'm not saying this is the indicator because we don't know enough information just yet, but could we see him on the UK brand?
Very interesting indeed.
And I'm not saying it's because they're from Australia, but we've seen a lot of successful Australian wrestlers over the last few years. I mean, they're going to kill me for this because I'm pretty sure Toni Storm isn't actually Australian, might be New Zealand, but
I think she's New Zealand.
Yeah, and New Zealanders probably wouldn't like me for saying that, or Australians probably wouldn't like me for saying that. I don't know if there's actually any beef between the two, but it's an unfair generalisation. But yeah, that end of the world seems to be doing quite well for wrestlers at the moment. So I'm intrigued. Be looking forward to seeing them in NXT.
That's it. I'm glad that they landed. Glad that they landed it. Yeah, there was a joke in there somewhere. But anyway. The next one, Tony Khan is seeing dollar signs, Anthony, because the Revolution pay-per-view has proved to be a huge financial success. So I don't think we've had the final figures come through yet. I know it's definitely more than $5 million that they've made, which will be, I think it's expected to be closer to around 6-7 million when all is said and done. But that will be significantly higher than any other pay-per-views that they have ever done. So our buddy Meltzer came out and said that he speculated that the total count of the buys will be above the 120,000 mark, which was set by Double or Nothing in 2020. So that was their previous high, and he said that it's definitely going to be more than that. So I think, like, fucking fair play. You know what I mean? How difficult is it for other wrestling companies to get that level of traction where they're getting 120,000 pay-per-view buys? It's on pay-per-view as well. I think it was 20 quid over here, but in the States it was like $50 or something on Fight TV. So people had to part with quite a bit of cash to watch this. Damn, like, it looks like
I know AEW takes a lot of shit, right? And a lot of people are like, oh, they won't be around next year. There's another TNA, etc. But you've got to appreciate what they are trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really hope that they carry on and they go strength to strength. I don't buy into all this hate because competition's good. I don't want WWE to suffer either. I want them both to compete with each other and be better for it. But no, this is a definite good thing. Like, we're going strength to strength, and this has been the best pay-per-view yet financially. We'll talk about that.
It was still a good pay-per-view, damn it.
No, it was the worst ever for that last 5 fucking minutes.
Oh, well, that was so bad. But yeah, we'll come on to that. But yeah, I just think, huge congratulations to them. And it's funny that the comparison you said, like, they won't be around next year, just like TNA. Like, TNA have never gone away. People say this all the time. And it's like, TNA is still here. I'd like to think AEW is still going to be here. They've offered -1 a contract when he turns 18, so they're going to still be here in a decade's time because they've got to honour that contract, and Tony Khan will honour that contract, so they're still going to be here. And
But to sum up Carl's headline, rich man makes money.
rich man makes more money. Who knew? Who knew? That is it in a nutshell, to be fair, yeah. Rich man gets richer.
Sadly.
Yeah.
It's the fucking world that we live in. That's what we're reporting on, Carl.
You know what? That's really kind of tilt this on its head for me. To be honest, I was going down the path of like, it's gonna still be here because -1, and now I'm just like, fuck you, Tony Khan, give me some money. You know what I mean? Bastard.
It's crazy. It could be AEW's official podcast if he'd let us.
I know, right? I've only messaged him like 5 or 6 times saying, just come on the show, Tony. Just do it, Tony. Tony, just like
what you have to do is like insult him with a spelling error, and he will definitely respond.
Such a grammar mark. Spell it like
Sorry,
with a C.
Anyway,
Anyway.
So next one for me, Carl. Big Cass. We all saw. I think I mentioned it on last week's, maybe before. He's made his return to the Independents, teaming up once again with his good buddy Enzo, which is now spelt with an N instead of an E because he's not with WWE. And obviously from that he's been asked a lot of questions like what's the future for Big Cass has been the main question, and also what are you doing back was the other question. But he's been asked, if WWE put the offer out there, would you go back? And he's basically said right now he's just trying to concentrate on what he's doing. He's trying to concentrate on doing his independent show bookings and sort of getting back into the game in that sense. So he honestly doesn't know what the future would have in store for him. But if WWE called again, he's quoted as saying, "I'd really do my best to confirm the first positive impressions they had of me in the first moments." So right now, he said he's living life one day at a time, and you never know what will happen tomorrow. But I think if WWE were interested, he would try and sort of rebuild himself in their eyes, let's say. And he has, I believe it was, I don't want to be incorrect on this, so apologies if I am, but I believe it was alcohol issues he was suffering with at the time. And obviously he did go down a bit of a dark path for a while, but he's looking awesome. He's back. He's back wrestling. He's back on the independents. So I, for one, I'd be quite happy to see him back in WWE. I think he was suited there. I think their tag team was ace there. I think it was a shame they split them up as quick as they did, in all honesty.
Yeah, I think it's weird, really, because I can't honestly, and I'm happy to be proven wrong, I can't honestly see Big Cass going back on his own. But at the same time, I can't see WWE letting Enzo back in. So it's a bit of a strange one, really.
It's difficult, because I could see Triple H letting Enzo back in. He had a soft spot for that guy. But like you say, on a WWE standpoint and the controversy he had, it'd be difficult.
I remember reading like news story after news story of him just rubbing people the wrong way, whether it's legends, current people, just not having any respect for them, really. Enzo, this is. And then obviously, Big Cass was by fucking association ended up with the same kind of negative rap, and then obviously, it's going to be strange. I can't see him going back to WWE because he hasn't got the charisma that Enzo's got, whereas Enzo's got all the charisma. But obviously, Cass has got all the size and stuff.
I don't mean this in a disrespectful way to Cass, but the size of him and the physique at the moment, I could see WWE signing him. They don't really give a fuck about charisma sometimes. He's a fucking monster of a guy, and they'll just probably have him back on that basis. He'll come back and he'll have a feud with Braun, and then we'll go from there.
Oh God, Anthony, no!
I'm sorry, but we know exactly what they do.
No one wants to see this shit. Don't do it. Don't. Johnny Ace, if you're listening to this, don't do it. Don't hire him back for that sole reason. Hire him back if you're going to do something else with him, but not to put him in a feud with Braun. Okay?
Thank you. Is Johnny Ace?
John Laurinaitis.
Is he still around?
He's back as the head of talent relations again now, apparently.
Fucking hell. Maybe Punk is coming back.
Maybe to have a feud with Kevin Nash again. So, yeah, the next one I've got, Anthony.
Yeah. Speaking of big tall guys.
Speaking of big tall guys, and this is going to be the clickbaity article of the week for everybody. So you're welcome. But we're not lying.
But you're
Big
doubly
Show.
welcome, because we had a more clickbaity one and we went, no, we're not going to be those guys.
Exactly. Well, we will be clickbaity,
in the last
but
hour
not that
so.
clickbaity. Oh my god, some of these people just need to have a look at themselves in terms of what they put as clickbait. Fuming. Only because I fall for it most of the time, but still, bad people. But yeah, we're not wrong.
Famous WWE wrestler dead, tired. Oh, damn it!
Just in really small print. But no, so this is accurate. This is true. So Big Show, Paul White, he has revealed he wants a former WWE World Champion to join him in AEW. It just so happens though that talent is Mark Henry. And I realised that sounded really disrespectful. And I didn't mean it to sound quite as bad as it probably came out. But at the same time, do we want to see this? AEW has had quite a bad rap already of signing ex-WWE talent. We won't spoil the major signing.
Spoil the spoiler.
We won't spoil the spoiler. But, that was an ex-WWE talent.
Honestly not talked about this with each other.
I know.
I'm so intrigued to get to that point.
I know.
I've got a few things I need to say.
Oh, okay. See, it's so much more fun when we just ignore each other all week and just, do it all live on the microphone. It's great.
That's true. I like that you're advocating for ignoring each other all week.
Yeah, it makes for a better show. Damn it! Forget the friendship. But yeah, so I don't know how you feel, and I don't like Mark Henry is an absolute legend, Hall of Famer. He's been there through all of it, through Sexual Chocolate, through being the daddy of a hand that was birthed by Mae Young, through to being the world's strongest man, being the world champion, his infamous retirement where he then turned and became a heel and was like, I ain't really retiring, you fool. All that good stuff. Mark Henry is a legend.
Oh, that famous time he couldn't get the door off the cell.
And that time too. So he's been through loads of stuff. He's definitely a legend. And I know that he wants to have like a final hurrah, and I get that. But I just don't think it should be an AEW now. There will be too many straws that break the camel's back with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's more fitting that he has his final matches in WWE, given he was most of his career has been a WWE guy. And I don't want to disrespect, and I'm not saying Big Show is much better, if I'm honest, but like they're not going to sign him for his personality. I'm not being audible. He's never been the talker, has he? He's been the big, strong guy. And that's how he's always been in WWE. I know he obviously does the Busted Open Radio. I know, he can talk, but I don't think they're hiring him for his charisma points. Do you know what I mean?
No.
And that, to me, would suggest that if they do hire him, they're hiring him to have some matches, and that will be a bit of a sticking point for me. I don't want to see that. I don't want it to be too old guy heavy. We moan enough about WWE doing this.
Exactly, and don't get me wrong.
You're hearing this, Mickey? You're hearing this?
Don't get me wrong. I would love to see him end up in AEW in a non-wrestling role. Like, by all accounts, he's a fantastic, talent spotter. He was the one who discovered Bianca Belair and brought her, to WWE. So, he's definitely he's got a lot of value that he can add to a company like AEW. I just don't want to see him in the ring there. So,
totally
by
agree.
all means, have a final run in WWE.
I don't want to sound too unfair because I have nothing but respect for the man, but I go as far as to say I don't want to see him on camera.
Just have a dark match. No one will see it.
No,
retire
I want him
dark.
to be involved in the nuts and bolts of the business. I don't want him to be an on-screen personality in any way.
Yeah,
we don't need that.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I'm not particularly craving it either. But we speak at length at times on this show about how hard it must be to give up on the only thing you've known your whole life and to just call it a day.
I totally get, and that's why I've nothing but respect for him, and I would never blame him for doing that.
Yeah,
I blame Goldberg for carrying on having matches. I wouldn't blame Mark for that.
Yeah,
I'm
No.
pointing out my own hypocrisy, guys. I'm aware of it. But yeah, it's because it is an addictive business. But it's a shame because I would genuinely watch, like, happily watch more matches in WWE. I just don't think AEW would be the right place for it.
Yeah,
Wouldn't be the
I
way
agree.
to go out. Wouldn't.
I agree. But yeah, like if he is going to finish up his career and have some more in-ring matches, then obviously all the best to him, and I hope he ends it in the way that he wants to do that. But he's definitely got so much to add to any wrestling company in terms of, his acquisition of talent and his scouting capabilities, at least, as well as obviously having spent his whole career learning the WWE style and everything that comes with putting on a great television show. So yeah, interesting, but yeah, please don't be a wrestler on AEW, Mark. But we still love you.
Yeah, please, Mark.
Please, Mark.
In fact, can we get a petition going? Carl, can you get that started?
Sure thing.
I'm kidding. Right, so the next one's me. Is it me?
I think it's the last one. I think you've
That's
got
the last one, and this is the shittest one. Sorry to end on like a bum note, guys, but this just came in today, and it's sadly there's been suggestions, nothing fully confirmed just yet, that there is potentially another outbreak of COVID in NXT. Now, this is believed to have been connected to some sort of, I want to say, meeting, or some sort of thing that the Performance Center talent were required to attend. And apparently several of these people at this meeting didn't take the proper precautions, which has now led to numerous talents being pulled from the card as we knew it, and many people have been put on quarantine. Now, this report comes from the one and only Dave Meltzer. So we seeing or be believing as to what's changed, because what we haven't got is who has been pulled, who's having to quarantine, or anything along that lines. All we know is it's going to impact and affect NXT, obviously being at the CWC as it's known now. And yeah, this is a bit concerning because we've been building heavily towards takeover. I believe the next one's a 2-night takeover as well, and we're trying to build to that. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to speculate because we don't know the names yet, but could this be like, well, we've literally only just set up, and I'll talk about it some more later, we've only just set up Karrion Kross finally going against Finn Balor, as we've been fucking waiting for since he come back and decided, nah, I'm not going to concentrate on that for a bit. And this could potentially have an impact on that. Could they be could one of those two now be pulled from the card? We don't know. And again, not to sort of speculate and throw a worst case, if you will, but this could have a heavy impact on stuff that they've been building. And fair play to them, they have actually been trying to build towards, meaningful matches in that sense. It hasn't just been thrown together last minute like Fastlane.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be a shame. It's going to be a shame if that is the case. But I think if it does run the risk and stuff at the minute, I'd rather still have the takeover show if they can, just isolate themselves and stuff for a couple of weeks and just not have fully built up feuds, but still have takeover take place. Do you know what I mean? With some great matches on there, but obviously it'd be much better if we could build to them on TV. But let's be honest, NXT never it does just build to ship and nothing ever happens. So it'd be great to do the inverse here and just fucking build and nothing. And actually just make some shit happen for once. But no, obviously...
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, it could spark something fantastic by accident. You just never know.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if it is running rife in there and, a lot of people are getting it and stuff like that, then obviously it's a horrible thing. It's horrible timing as well, obviously, with WrestleMania and Stand and Deliver just around the corner. So hopefully whatever is happening and stuff is kind of doesn't get any worse, and hopefully anyone who's got it recovers quickly and safely. And just COVID strikes again. What a bitch.
Indeed. So sadly that is our last one, so it's a bit of a bum note to go out on, but hopefully everything's sort of dealt with properly and quickly enough. Obviously you've got to go with the quarantine time, so you can only be as quick as it can be, but hopefully everything's back to normal soon enough.
True that. And that's it. That is it for the news this week, folks. We've still got some exciting stuff this week. Obviously, we're going to talk what's happened in this week in wrestling. We've got two segments for you in addition this week. Just, so nice we did it twice. We've got the Revolution pay-per-view results that we just didn't do last week because we did it a day early. So yeah, we're just a bit late with this one. But we know that you're waiting to hear our thoughts, so we'll share them with you.
Want to know what we thought of it? We get that.
Exactly. And obviously we're kicking off A2theK season with our greatest 10 WrestleMania moments. So, join us on the countdown to that. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Have we left something out? Have we put something in that you just think shouldn't be there? It's all fun and games, so make sure you stay tuned to that, and we'll be back after this little video. Or audio, depending on where you're listening, or whatever.
You're watching or listening
to A2theK.
The A2theK.
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 These guys are awesome. Check it out.
Check it out. Change your life. You'll be thanking me later.